So today we're talking about DJs. I'm joking! Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. If you're new, hi, my name is Pamela Manana and I hope you stay. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back.
To the family.
I hope you brought a friend and I hope you enjoy this video. We have a special guest today. This is, I'll let her introduce herself, but yeah, I'll let you have it. Okay, introduce yourself.
Oh, hi Pamela and hi new subscribers and returnees. I am Boitumelo, SEMENYA, and yeah, that's just me. Hey.
As seen in the title down below, we are talking about mental health today, and Boiti has a huge mental health journey, and I thought she'd be fit for this topic. I am a huge advocate for mental health as well, and this is something that we really bond over in our friendship as well. So I thought she'd be fit for this topic. So yeah, basically we're going to talk about mental health and our journeys first, mainly hers because she is our guest, and then we're gonna dive into the messages we got from people. I went on Instagram and I asked you guys to share your mental health thoughts, your opinions, advice you have, or even your experience with mental health, and you guys answered me, so thank you so much for that. I really appreciate the family for that. You guys came through for me, and yeah, if I don't get to your message, I'm really sorry. There's a huge influx of messages that I got DMs, I got a lot, so we're gonna try and cover as much as we can in the amount of time that we do have. Let's have a cheers, man. We're sipping on whatever.
Good health. Peace.
Look at each other in the eyes. So yeah, first we're gonna I want Boiti to just like familiarize herself and everything that she's been through with her journey. I'll start off by saying, like, when did you begin to take your mental health seriously? Like what event happened for you to realize that there's something happening here, I need assistance? If it was professional assistance, what happened to you exactly?
Okay, so basically, I only got to know about mental health and mental illnesses when I got to varsity in 2019, and that's when I got to learn. Okay, fine, these things such as bipolar, depression, anxiety, and so forth. Growing up, I never really knew about these things. Honestly, we were never taught. LO, we were always taught about teenage pregnancy,
STDs.
Always,
yeah.
We're not taught about such sensitive and such serious things, right? So when I it was in 2019 when I got admitted into psychiatric hospital. My first admission was in 2019.
And what happened for you to be admitted? You had an episode.
Yeah, man, I was just having a rough year, and somewhere in 2019 I had cut myself, and then I realized, later on during the year, that there's just something wrong with me. Just need to see someone, and then I called my mom. I told her, what, I'm not okay, this is what has been happening and so forth, and then we spoke about it. But it does not even start in 2019. It goes way back to childhood.
So you only realized it goes way back to childhood when you were admitted?
Yes, when I got admitted.
So basically,
or when I was doing an introspection, but okay, like what is actually happening,
So basically what happens is that you can have mental illness for all your life and not know about it.
Yes. But now it's easier for you to know, because now it's something that's been spoken about,
Yes.
Now it's something that people are it's trying to build momentum, people are starting to talk about it,
Okay, so now because of the influx of the messages and the information I got from my followers and my subscribers on Instagram, we're gonna cut straight into that, and then we'll briefly speak about like our opinions, our advice and all of that as we go along. We're gonna keep everyone anonymous, but yeah, you will hear your story. And hopefully, if you relate to these stories, you guys can learn something or two today. That's what the whole point of this is about.
And just a disclaimer, we are not expecting.
You're very important, that one.
What we're gonna be saying will be based on experience and knowledge. It's not gonna be like we also have a long, learning journey in this whole mental illness world and mental health world. So we are not experts. We are just giving opinions based on experience and knowledge. So yes.
Okay, we're gonna kick it off with experiences. Some of you guys shared your experiences, so we're gonna read them out loud. The first one said, mine came from the loss of my grandparents and my father. I never felt broken from growing up not having a mom until I lost my grandmother. I could tell I'm depressed from my actions, and I started to think a lot. I do talk. I've tried counseling since I was at UP and also when I came to NW. I still have not healed. Actually, I feel like I'm getting worse. I'd be there planning my own funeral. It's a lot. I even get hurt by small things, and I was never like this. My tears are always 5 to coming out. I chose the story specifically because I don't know if you're comfortable with me saying this, but Boiti has suffered from suicidal thoughts as well, and I really wanted us to touch on this. This is what I meant when I said I don't want us to go the normal boring route of mental health. We have to talk about these things. So just take us through that. What happens when you start planning your funeral? When you get to a level of starting to plan your funeral, what is going on in your brain?
Basically it's a fight inside between a mind and a heart that's just so tired and a body that still wants to live. Hey, and in you, hey, it's really I don't even know how to explain it, hey, because when that point comes, it's like you are so tired of life. You're so tired of this thing called life. Any good thing happening to you around you just does not make sense. All that you want is to be at peace, and death, when you're in that state, makes sense. Because you believe that when I'm dead, I'll be at peace, away from the troubles of this world and everything. And it's been something that has been happened. As you mentioned, that's something I've experienced, whereby I had fantasies. I fantasized death used to be a fantasy to me. I used to write my own obituary, plan my own funeral. It was that bad. And that was when I was young. Hey, that started when I was young.
So this is before 2019, before you know what mental health is.
Before 2019. When I was still a teenager. But now with Anonymous, ne?
Yes.
I've never lost a mother.
Yes, that's something also that's very
because
triggering.
Now she's talking about mourning, and we need to understand that as people we mourn differently. For someone might decide that, okay, I'll start mourning the death of this particular person that was close to me 5 years after their death has happened.
Or they don't get to decide. Sometimes your body just decides, okay, now I feel alone. Now I feel the death of this person. Because you ask yourself, sometimes people lose parents, they don't cry at the funeral. They're even laughing. They can arrange.
And that on its own is like, this person, when it kicks in and they decide that it's time for me to mourn,
it's gonna take them down.
So, you need to be easy on people. You don't put a timeline as to now after it's now time for you to mourn. I've never lost a mother, I've never lost a father, so I don't know. I've lost family members, I've lost an aunt, but
no one is close as a parent.
No one is close as a parent, especially a grandmother or a grandfather. Some people who raised me. So you need to be lenient on people. Don't put time frames as to after 2 years you need to have your
stuff together.
You need to have finished mourning and whatnot.
And healing. I want to say this because this is very important. Healing is not
time-based.
It's not time-based, and it's not perfect. It's not like, okay, after these 3 months, you can always relapse. Healing is the longest process. I think you heal throughout your life.
Yeah.
I feel like even depression, once you have it, you can't get rid of it. You relapse.
Just need to find coping.
You have triggers, exactly. You just have to cope through it and make sure the people around you are aware that you have this problem, because some people don't know that you're depressed, and then they think that we are actor or drama or whatever the case is. So make people aware that no, I'm living with depression, I'm living with bipolar, I'm living with anxiety. So tread lightly, tread carefully around me. Perfect. The next person said, can we talk about cyberbullying, because it contributes. I just found out that there's a girl I was in high school with, and she created a fake page with me and other people's nudes and terrible captions. Tried to report it, but Instagram was not helping. I approached her cousin. I approached her, sorry, because I'm thinking about my reputation, and she just said hurtful things and that I can go and build a case. First of all, we're women, you know. So I have something to say about this because I've been cyberbullied before. I was cyberbullied in grade 8. I was going through, and it's usually girls. It's usually girls.
This gender of ours.
Yeah. So I was going through a friend breakup, and like I was just getting mocked. This person was sending me horrible texts, posting about me and all of that stuff. And you know what I think? Like the only advice I can give to you if you are being cyberbullied and it's causing detriment to your mental health, go off socials. Create those boundaries. Go off socials. I guarantee you, yes, social fasting. That's a perfect word. Social media fasting. Like cut off every kind of access that people have to you. If only receiver. So as long as someone can call you, you are fine. You don't need, guys. Let's be honest. We don't really need social media. I think we do now because like we just tend to be social media people, a social media generation. But if those platforms are causing you not to sleep, delete everything, deactivate, and live a happy life. It's gonna be hard, but like if it's causing this month, it's good for you. I know Boitumelo and boundaries with social media. Tell them about the fact that no one has your number. No one has her number except 8 people on this earth. I am one of these 8 people.
My number. It's that number with a lot of zeros at the end. But it does not have WhatsApp.
I call it the clientele life number.
Yes, you see, my client, it does not have WhatsApp. Because why? I went off that WhatsApp. It was just a lot for me.
Yeah.
I went off Facebook. Like, I haven't been active on Facebook for a month. The only socials I'm active on is Insta, TikTok, and Twitter. Twitter
and
will
people
put you through the pits.
But they have that thing of would say, I'm behind the screen, no one can touch me, so I can say whatever I
That's
want.
where I wanted to go. Why do you as a person have to be the cause behind someone going through something like this? Why do you have to go to the extent of creating such things that you know they're going to destroy someone? Why would you be that kind of person? Why that toxic?
Yeah. The last one is the fact is that therapy and pills sometimes don't help. I'm speaking like this because I have been hospitalized 3 times. You know what? I think each to their own. There's people who believe that like them drinking medication makes them way better than if they were to do this thing alone with just Mourning, like, you know. And then there's people like me. I have never taken medication. I have I have medication for it and I've taken it before, but like how can I say, the side effects of medication really deal with me. Like even right now I'm on medication and it's dealing with me like to the brim. So even with my when I took antidepressants, I had heavy mood swings. They would knock me out for 2 days sometimes because I'm just generally a weak human being when it comes to medication. Like everything makes me go into ICU. So like I personally go through things without any medication. I have the medication, I just don't choose not to take it, and that's just how I deal with things. So I feel like don't knock it till you try it though, because you can hear me say medication is whatever, it gives me problems, and think, okay, I don't need medication, and you actually do, and it actually does help you. I know you're under antidepressants right now.
Yeah.
And like, how does it treat you? Like, what is your experience with like medication for mental health?
I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but what I know is that my meds, when I ever since I've been put on these meds, I can't drink alcohol anymore. So I stopped drinking alcohol because of the side effects such as seizures and whatnot. So even when I asked my psychiatrist, apparently it's like that for all mental illness medication, that you can't be drinking alcohol and drinking your meds at the same time. You need to choose your struggle. And another thing, it also goes back to saying healing takes time. It's not the same, for everyone. People think that when I start drinking meds, when I start attending therapy, when I get in and out of psychiatric hospitals, then I'm gonna be okay in 5 months. That's not how it is. It takes time. It really, really takes time, and you need to be kind to yourself and don't put yourself under pressure, because the more you put yourself under pressure, the more you're gonna have a lot of relapses, because you are not dealing with things as they are. Like for me, for instance, I had to start dealing with when my problem started, you know.
Okay.
Before I can start dealing with this 21-year-old me who's been through a lot, this 21-year-old me who's just faced a lot, I had to deal with that 13 for, you know. So it's taken time, indeed. It is taking time, and I'm grateful because as it's taken time, I'm getting to heal, you know. I'm getting to heal the parts that need to be healed before I start healing this person.
Okay, we're moving on now to the
own.
opinions that
It's
people
all.
sent. And they're strong opinions, I won't lie. But the first one says, I feel like depression has a certain criteria. Like people decide who has the right to be depressed or not. If you have a roof over your head, you have both your parents, have the privilege of having 3 meals a day, you can't be depressed, which I feel is absolute bull. You can live the most perfect life and still be depressed. You can even be depressed about having the perfect life. What I'm trying to say is depression doesn't need to fit a certain criteria. We don't need to question how people are depressed. There's a lot that leads to depression. It doesn't have to be because of physical means, but it can also be genetics, which one has no control over. So I feel we should stop judging people who are depressed and just be there for them. You don't need to understand what they're going through. Just be there. I want to say your name so bad, but I won't.
You know,
because you're spitting facts. Like,
and you know, growing up, you know, on social media, there's always this thing of, sorry to say this to our race, of the thing that black parents or depression jwang o ja. Depression jwang o na le diphahlo. Depression jwang o tshwere the latest phones. And it is not like that. It is life situations. It is what happens when I go out there to the world. Yes, when I'm at home, some people even at home, even home triggers them. Home for some people is the root of that depression. Some of them, parents, it all starts at home.
Some parents will give you that. They'll give you everything materialistic and give you zero emotional support. They'll actually damage your emotional mental health because they just like, they're rude and all of that stuff, and then they just cover things up by buying you that PlayStation, buying you that iPhone 13, do you understand? Feeding you, you know, and then when you do say, no, but I'm still suffering, they throw it in your face that, nah, I've given you everything on this planet. You're being ungrateful. Yes. Depression, you know, I worked tirelessly for you, and whatever the case is. I think being a parent is extremely hard because there's no aspect you can't cover. You have to be there for your children physically, mentally, emotionally, and all of those, and financially
also,
as well.
Our parents also suffer. Hey?
Exactly.
Our parents are suffering in silence. Yes. And don't even know.
So you're giving your child all of these things, and maybe you yourself as a parent didn't have those things growing up. Like, I remember when I told my mom that I was going through this. Like, my mom grew up in an extremely abusive home. My mom herself is just like she has like anger issues and stuff like that. And I am grateful that I realized this quick that her upbringing is a reason why she does such certain things. So I was able to navigate through that. But the beginning stages of my like mental illness, she was failing to understand. She was like, I work, like I bust my butt, and you want to tell me that you're unhappy. Exactly.
To make sure that you're okay.
And like, but what I love so much about my mom, like, is that she sat down and she did her research. She attended these things, she read about it, she understood that, you know what, like, it's literally a chemical imbalance. Like, sometimes it's not even because this person is unhappy. Something in their brain is telling them that, like, kill yourself. You understand? So you need to understand that, like, there's certain things you can blame yourself for, but there's certain things you're not in control of. And if you can look at yourself in the mirror as a parent, I'm talking to the parents who are watching this. If you're a parent, listen up. If you can look at yourself in the mirror and saying, I've given this person my all, then you're doing the best job. But if you're not there for your child in certain ways, like not listening to them sometimes, or whatever the case is, or in the defense of being a disciplinary, you know, and like I'm giving away because like, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. I'm not saying judging any parental skills or method, all each to their own, definitely, but you're raising a completely different generation, so you need to adjust.
Don't put a category as to, in order for you to be depressed, you need to come from such a home. You need to, it also comes to, do not invalidate people's traumas. Do not invalidate people's triggers, because the problem starts there that there's always someone who's going through far more worse than what you're going through, you know? Yes, you are crying because this happened in your life, but out there's someone who's going through far more worse than what you're going through. It also starts with that, do not invalidate my traumas, do not invalidate my triggers. You are in no position to tell me, such a thing is not supposed to be making you feel like this. Only this pot knows how hot the stove is.
The next opinion is 2 points. People's coping mechanisms with depression are very different. Some tend to become homebodies and some party more. Instead of lending an ear and help, people tend to shame these mechanisms. Yes, they may have a bad. Okay, yes, they may be bad, sorry, but it's what people know to work for them. For example, a person that goes out drinking every weekend will be labeled a drunkard. They already know that they are one. They don't need someone highlighting that fact. Like, I know, don't tell me it's saga. Sometimes I get a tough love and all of that, but at what cost? That you're a drunkard might be a trigger. Mental illness is very fragile. I love and then the second point she made is that I love the old generation. I love how the older generation is now aware of mental health and they are trying to be educated about it to help their kids or anyone really dealing with issues. However, I've noticed a trend of how now us, the younger generation, have taken advantage of them and of them being aware and faking it. They disrespect and treat their parents horribly and then say depression, traumatizer, or now toxic. Yeah.
It goes back to what we previously said, that our parents are also going through a lot. Our parents never had the privilege of therapy, seeing psychologists and psychiatrists, right? So now if you're gonna use that card on, yes, you might be suffering from it, but if you're always gonna use that card on your parents, or silly or stop. Imagine, I saw with me when I was going through all this, I saw the strain, like I saw the pain that my parents were in because of the pain that I was in. So now
it's not pain that like he's a panado.
No,
it's pain that they have to let you go through alone.
Even
so
at
scary.
work, it started. My mom was just not okay. My dad, they were just not okay. My family was just not okay. So now, if I would see that pain that they went through, and then I come when I'm okay, but because I want to manipulate them, and then now I pull out the depression card.
And I also want to just make the reference to that's the first point she made when she was saying coping mechanisms are different. I really feel like let he who is without sin be the first to cast a stone. That's a Bible verse. So basically it means that if you're pure, you can judge. Until you're pure, shut up. So you might be drinking to numb the pain and whatever the case is, whatever. And I might be sleeping around to numb the pain, someone else might be what is a coping mechanism? Not treating, coping mechanism. Drugs.
Drugs, yeah.
What else?
Gym.
Never being able to be alone. Like you always everything. You can't be alone. Do you understand?
Alone.
Everyone deals with things differently. Yes, there's some that let's be frank now. There are some that's worse than others. Like drinking, you are hurting your liver, you can actually die young, whatever the case is. Drugs, you'll definitely die if you continue to abuse drugs as a form of coping. But let the doctors say that. Let the parents, maybe, especially if you're a minor, say that. If I, as your friend, am saying, whatever the case is, and I don't know why you're smoking, how you began to smoke, and what the smoking does for you, I can't say anything about it. I can show concern. I can say, friend, I'm worried. You're finishing a bottle in one day. You're finishing a pack of cigarettes in one day. You're finishing a whole mushroom of weed in one day. I'm concerned. But as long as you know I'm here for you, whatever, that is concern and that is care. Saying oh guys, you guys are causing more harm than good by judging. Honestly, like you're causing more harm than good. You'd be so surprised if someone can sit down with you and tell you, you will find me dead. We're not saying abuse alcohol, guys. We're saying if you see someone who is abusing alcohol, show concern first before you judge.
Yeah.
So now we're moving on to people ask for advice from us basically, or me. They post scenarios or what they're going through per se, and they asked how they deal with that. So we're gonna dive into that. The first one, as much as we say everyone is heard, when they speak out, do you think men are heard? Do we think men are heard basically?
Definitely.
Are they heard? Are men heard?
You know, it goes back to the topic of okay, it goes back to Pam. Okay, it goes back to the topic of men's mental health is not something out there. You know, patriarchy has took over it to such an extent that there's a saying ka Sesotho e reng monna ha lle ha se nku. Men are made to believe that you can't cry, you can't express emotions, and imagine what that is doing to them.
Yeah.
You know, if I, as Boitumelo SEMENYA, when I'm going through pain, I cry. Like I will cry, you know, I will feel,
and
I will
you
make
need
sure
that.
that I feel, and I need that in order for me to, you know, be able to, you know, move on and heal. But with men were given indoda ayikhali, mawukhala ungumfazi. Imagine what that has done to them.
Yeah.
If we were to take men who are suffering from, you know, mental illnesses, how many are they? When I was in the psychiatric hospital, there were men there, you know, that we would sit with because I was in an adult program, you know, and those were men in their 35s, 40s.
Some can even be married.
It's even there was also now when I went in July last year, there was also I think a 60-something-year-old man, madala, like madala. You know, imagine at 60 you are in a psychiatric hospital, and he grew up in the generation whereby indoda ayikhali was being enforced very ukuthi indoda ayikhali, you know. So men are hurt, but they just don't know. As Boitumelo, I'm not saying all men are hurt, but
she said, are they heard?
Oh, heard.
Yeah,
oh,
sorry.
So.
No, it's okay.
But it's still the same
points,
thing. Men are not heard, and yeah. It's not because of us, but because of them as men. It's not because of us. There's always, or if you were to check on Twitter, they will always say, women are not ready to have this conversation about men's mental health. Are you men ready to have that conversation? Are you ready to sit namachita wenu and talk about, hey, my face, this is what I'm going through? Are you guys ready to break that? But it's not
enough.
It's not enough. It's not popular.
Yeah.
It's not popular.
Very uncommon.
You know, we start chanting men's mental health
when people like
when someone like when Ricky died, when who's this double HP Jabba died, when who's this Tumu and Gomorrah died. That's when you're like, oh, men's mental health means when Tate Patrick Shai died, when they all committed suicide, and that's when we're like, men's mental health, whatnot.
Like they're just not wired to speak. They're not wired to do it. It's not that they don't want to speak. I feel like they're just not wired to do it. You're just like, who cares? I've seen men say like, okay, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna do this, but who cares? Yeah. You know, like no one. Like at the end of the day, I still have to go back, fetch this bread, go back to my family. Like there's no time. Like even how we say there's no time from goal. There's no time for them to be depressed. There's no time for them to be, you know. So I think others speak, guys. Like I know this female bestie thing and male bestie thing is not a good thing, especially if you're in a relationship. But if you're single and you're not, and it's purely platonic, please, if you have a male best friend or a friend that's male, allow him to vent. The day he calls you and he chooses to just say what's working ABC and he's just going on off, that you don't know how that you're saving a life. You don't know that you're saving a life. Like allow for them to just pour their heart out, because the next thing they do is gonna be next year. I promise you. Men do it in bulk. They'll just offload in bulk and never say it again. The next person who asked for advice said, how do you block out people who are constantly trying to put you down? Those enemies who are always reminding you of your shortcomings. Like, I'm a Christian yet, but middle fingers up. Because honestly, what do you want from me? Like, what do you want from me? Like, guys, I feel like we're such an unforgiving generation. Like, I still learn, guys, like grudges. And if you're wrong, especially if you're a celebrity, once you do something, and I'm not saying we should forgive abusers and people who commit like femicide and all of those things, like those people deserve to rot in jail, definitely. But like, let's say I spoke from a place of uneducation. I wasn't educated when I spoke on something or spoke about a topic on Twitter, and I'm a celebrity, And then I later come and say, you know what, at this point in my life, I have not known 1, 2, 3. I've learned and I do not agree with that then self. I completely disagree and I would like to be forgiven. We will never forgive those people.
And guys, as you know, there's a different child me, adult me.
Yeah.
And these people they always die for their childhood things, eh?
Yeah, they're always perishing.
If I tweet something when I was 14,
Africa.
Mamela, they will, and forgetting that even you at that age.
I don't have it on camera. Oh, guys, it feel like the biggest monkey I've seen in my life. Almost passed away.
I feel like it's
Okay, before we got really interrupted by that monkey. Oh my gosh, guys, I hate animals are just not my favorite things on earth. Like, please. But basically, yeah, I think it goes to what we were saying about like social media fasting and thinking, guys, block. Please, like, use that button. I've been using that button of late and I'm enjoying and having the best time of my life. In your hands, hey? Like, block. Like, you're not. No one is is what do you call this thing? No one is too special to be blocked. Like, everyone can be blocked. Everyone, even if your friend is causing you too much, block them. Like, just block, delete, move on. Block people. Like, if someone wants to come and crap on your comment section, crap on your photos, whatever the case is, block. Because ignoring is not enough. The next person who asked for advice was asked, how can we be there for and show up for people who are in a situation considering that they need space? I'm like that. Like, with my mental health, I know Boiti from our friendship, I've realized that like she needs support, I need space. We're two different people. And it's great because I'm a huge supporter. I'm a there for you person. I'm a fuck him, like, I'm that friend. And then she because she's a giver as well, she wants to return that, and I it is always met by my, I really want to be alone. Told me, please, like, no calls. I don't want to talk about it. The number of times I've said I don't want to talk about it, please. Like, when she saw the cuts on my wrist as well, she was like, and I was just like, I don't want to talk about it. And I'm grateful that I have a friend who like is able to understand. She doesn't pester me, she doesn't pry, and whatever the case is. Because sometimes people just don't want to talk about it, guys. Like, I'm a huge advocate for mental health, but I totally relate with you, because sometimes it's just not something you want to talk to anyone about, And I am finding healthy means to kulula, but I just don't want to talk about it, So respect people's space, respect their boundaries, respect what they request.
Okay, that's why communication is important, Sit down with me and ask me, okay, fine, if you're going through something like this, what do you expect from my side? Don't just assume that, oh no, I read on Twitter that you must buy me flowers, you must give me space. What if I don't need space? It's different strokes for different folks, So as Pam said, she needs space, you must give her space. I'm one person who by like, I wanna cry until I have no tears to shed anymore, and then after Mzobuya, Upem in her space, she'll be able to buya and come back, and uzombona magabuile. So it's, that's why you need to communicate with your friends, you need to communicate with your partners.
But yeah, the next one actually is that what's the best way to support someone who you love deeply, who struggles with mental health? How can I support a partner after a mental breakdown? Like, I have never had a mental. Have I had a mental breakdown? No, I actually have. I have.
In the presence of your partner.
Yeah, I have. But what is a mental breakdown? Like, crying. Okay, I did. Yeah, actually, I did. I had one because it was last year when we were all failing. Me and her both. Like, it was bad. It was so bad. So it was just like
what happened?
It was really bad for all of the accounting students, even So like yeah, I had a mental breakdown, and we prayed. That has really calmed me, and I've never ever thought of praying during the mental breakdown, but he was there and he just said, let's pray, and it calmed me all the way down. Like, hearing him talk to someone else about how deeply he wants me to be okay. Like that was like a different, like that was a different level of love. I like, you know. So yeah, I think just be there for them. Some people don't want to be touched, so just respect that. I think you know your partner, you know your friend, but like just being there, like guys, you don't have to. I think people take the guilt upon themselves and the responsibility upon themselves to feel what the other person is feeling, and the truth is you never will. Like I never can put myself in Boise's skin and feel what she's feeling. I can only be there for her. So don't break your brain. I think obviously if it's in a romantic relationship you feel guilty because that's the love of your life, obviously, whatever, but I think your presence more than anything will assist that person. It will go a long way. Even if Lomuntu happens to pass away, they'll die knowing I can say a lot of things, but I can't say he wasn't there for me, you know. So the last section actually is something to remember. So basically people were just sending in things like specific pointers to remember when it comes to mental health, and you just in general, even if you're not suffering from mental health, these are just things to remember and to note down. The first one is mental health issues that aren't critical or severe are still important. So you don't have to have depression and anxiety for you not to have a mental health issue. Like you can have, there's other things like I don't think it's a mental health issue, it's just a health issue. PTSD,
post-traumatic.
Yeah, you know, or
that's
like
also
mental health
because it
like
trauma.
Yes.
Even though it can also affect physically and mentally.
Yeah. Postpartum depression. There's that. There's even OCD, which is not sincere, not necessarily like a disease. I think it is though. It's a disorder. No, OCD is a disorder. It's something compulsive disorder. So yes, obsessive compulsive disorder. I think so. So like those are still like issues. They're still illnesses to an extent because they have a name. Doctors diagnose people all the time, you know. So it's an actual situation. Just because I'm not on the floor
dying, heart attack,
doesn't mean
no
exactly
blood coming out.
Yes, depression.
Because that's also the problem with mental health. People expect you, okay, fine. If I'm suffering from depression, whenever I go out in public, I must be sad, I must be crying, whatnot. And for me, I would sit in a room with people, laugh the loudest, you know, be bubbly. While deep inside I'm dying, deep inside I'm really going through a lot, you know. And then when that moment hits with you, you know, because it can hit at any time, you know, it just comes in at any time, and then you just sit there alone, and then you zone out. You're now in a dark zone. You just zone out.
So depression looks like smiling sometimes. It looks like a joker, a clown. Sometimes depression is dressed very well. It's like the devil dressed very well, but inside is something else. So always know that. The second one said boundaries are very crucial. You need to emphasize on that.
You know, guys, you know boundaries. I always say this, that one thing that I'm grateful for and I really appreciate about what I've been through, the hurt I've been through, the healing I'm going through and everything, is that I got to learn a lot. I got to learn more about myself, self-awareness, and I got to learn the importance of boundaries, you know. And that on its own was like top tier, you know. You need to set boundaries in your life, you know. People need to know this is where it ends. I was someone who I couldn't say no. Like I couldn't
over accessible.
Like I was.
How many contacts did you have on that number? That clientele life number. It was so scary. I think I got the same problem.
520.
It's okay.
520, you know.
That's a lot.
So I was that accessible,
and she was like, we were both student leaders.
So you know,
like you get text on a daily basis. You're solving people's problems 24/7. You're just an ambulance.
So I couldn't say no, you know. Like I felt like I needed to be everyone's savior, you know. If you're not okay, if you tell me that you're going through something and I don't have a solution, I would actually feel bad with you. Like angimsizanga, you know, like Boitumelo, like why and whatnot. And you know, my boundaries are not in place, but now I got to learn the importance of boundaries, because when you set boundaries, people will know it again. This is where Boitumelo toes the line.
Alright, that is the end of today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope that like the way I wanted this to go, and like how I wanted it to be a different conversation, mental health, yes, but in a different aspect and in a different light. I hope that came out, because that was my intention with this conversation. I love to have you here. Thank you for being such a good guest.
But anyways, yes guys, as Pam say, thank you so much for tuning in. Please do not forget to subscribe and date yourselves. Hey, like,
Yeah.
if you can, if you know my date yourself jar, invest yourself in something like that, and you'll see how self-appreciation and self-love goes a long way.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, best of luck with your exams, hey?
Yeah.
Because wow.
If this comes out in June, dog, because I don't know when I'm gonna edit this.
Yeah. Best of luck.
Please follow me on all social media platforms. I'm on TikTok now as well, so please do the most there.
I was teaching you how to do TikToks.
And I cannot wait to see you guys in my next video.
Bye.